Kenyans go to the polls on Wednesday to vote in a referendum on changes to the country's constitution, changes backed by Prime Minister Odinga. The new draft constitution has been drawn up by the current coalition government of President Mwai Kibaki and Prime Minister Odinga. It's a union based on compromise in the wake of the political violence following the election of December 2007, which claimed the lives of 1,500 Kenyans. Both leaders agreed to frame a new constitution to strengthen existing legislation and avoid any repetition of the bloodshed that rocked the country in 2007. Euronews met Prime Minister Odinga on a visit to France.
Prime Minister, welcome to Euronews.
Thank you.
Could you outline the major changes this new constitution will bring to Kenya?
For the first time, Kenyans are going to have a presidential system, a pure presidential system of government, where you have a president elected on a slate with a vice president and a cabinet appointed from outside parliament, so that there's clear separation of powers between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So we say that for the first time, Kenyans have a governance structure that will ensure that there are checks and balances in the system, and will ensure that the abuse of power, which we have seen in the past associated with authoritarian imperial presidency, are things of the past.
But isn't this new strong presidential position for one strong man a temptation to monopolize power also?
Not really. In the past, power was removed from the periphery to the center through constitutional amendments, which then made the presidency so powerful it dwarfed all the other institutions of governance, because there were no other checks. In the current draft constitution, first there is the legislature, which has been given a lot of powers. All the presidential appointments, the senior ones, are subjected to the vetting by parliament. So the kind of checks that there are in this draft constitution are very similar to those in the American Constitution.
But if Kenya creates this new strong presidential position, somebody has to be chosen to occupy it. Are elections planned for soon?
If the new constitution is adopted, then elections will be held latest by August of 2012. And this will include all the elections, that is civic, counties, senatorial, parliamentary, and presidential elections.
Will you be running for president again?
I'm not sure that I'll run, because, you know, we have a multi-party system. And for one to run, one must be nominated by his or have political party. So if my party nominates me, then of course I'll be prepared to run. If I'm not nominated, I will support whoever will be nominated.
Do you think the loser is prepared to accept defeat?
This is what we are trying to create now, that the losers must be prepared to accept defeat, because the elections are going to be fair. But what has been happening in a number of cases is that elections are rigged. That's why you find in many African countries that people are not willing to accept defeat. Now we are trying to teach Africans to understand the lessons of democracy, that in any kind of elections or any kind of contest, there must be winners and losers. And that if you lose fairly, that is not the end of the game. You know, you support the winner, and then you will win sometime in the future. This is how democracy is built. Elections should not be wars. They should just be competitions, just like any other game, like a football game. The winner must be prepared to shake hands with the loser.
Last year's droughts have proven it. Kenya is extremely sensible to climate changes, and your country also has the ambition to play a leadership role in turning Africa green. What's exactly on your green agenda?
Our green agenda is fairly comprehensive. We are trying to look at alternative renewable sources of energy as opposed to using the fossil fuels. And here, the options we have are one, geothermal. We happen to be one of those fortunate countries in the Rift Valley that have the geothermal potential. It is estimated that we have about 7,000 megawatts in the Rift Valley. Then wind is another one. And we have done a wind atlas for the country, which shows that we have got very good wind speeds in several parts of the country. So we are trying to also introduce wind turbines to generate electricity. There is already one project of 400 megawatts, which is underway for construction. Then there is solar, and as you know, that Kenya lies right at the equator, with 12 hours of sunshine on a daily basis. We hope that this is a way in which Africa can contribute immensely to the fight against global warming.
For poor citizens of a poor country, are environmental issues really a priority? Hasn't the priority to be on industrial development?
Those other countries which have become industrialized were pioneers. At that time, the consequences of the side effects of industrial development were not known. So we are saying that countries which are industrializing now, with the knowledge of the consequences, need not repeat the same mistakes of the past. So yes, we're saying industrial development is the key, is the aim, but you can actually achieve it through clean energy.
Prime Minister, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you.